think we're gonna be okay.
Your Twitter fingers. Where you
Think.
at, Rick? There's Rick. R2. Yeah. Everybody's ready. What division was Flex Chef?
He's a sailor. He's in the Navy.
Oh, we need to get him on tonight. I want to hear his take. All the sailor, soldier, marine talk. I've not encountered this. I got friends who are all of them. So
Yeah, well, I mean it's it's like telling somebody from Michigan State go Wolverines or something. You know what I mean? I mean,
but
just something
that's
on
on
that
purpose.
level.
That's on
Yeah,
purpose. I don't think people who want to salute you for your service are trying to diminish your rank, your status when they say thank you, soldier. Does that make sense?
no, I don't. It totally makes sense. I'm not. But it's if someone were to say to me, "Wow, you were in the army," I'd be like, "No,
No, yeah, sure, correct them. Absolutely. But
no."
the word soldier, man,
No, I was not a soldier.
very
I was
good.
not a soldier. I was a Marine. That's it. That's it.
We're live
Period.
there. Start us off.
I see we're live. I don't even care. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sober Swirl podcast. My name is Jake Howard.
And I go by Swirl.
Chocolate and vanilla swirl.
What's up, everyone?
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started into our topic-filled evening, I'd like to give a shout out to Royalty Nutrition. That's royaltynutrition.com. To help me out with that, as always, here is Warhorse.
It's Warhorse! Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay? When Warhorse picks his pre-workout, he wants it to slay! If you want second place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition!
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Royalty Nutrition is a veteran-owned and operated supplement company that doesn't automatically use the cheapest ingredients possible while making their supplements for you. Check them out. Use the discount code 37HAKE to save you 15% on your entire order. My next shout out of the evening will be Gorilla Gains. That's gorilla-gains with the Z.com. They are a fitness apparel company that makes great equipment that you can wear comfortably in and out of the gym. They also make great things to help you train safely and more effectively. Check them out. Use the discount code Jake15 to save you 15% on that order as well. Give a shout out to me. That's patreon.com/HateJoward. I post training programs I've written over the years, and I also do some rants in blog form, and I also do a solo podcast on there. Check that out and help me support my 9,000 children. Ryan, tell them about the Buy to Buy.
So if you are shopping in-store or online and you find you do not have the time, towing, or the muscle to move it, hit us up at BUYTOBYE everywhere you are. That is Buy to Buy. We give you peace of mind from the time that you buy until the time we say goodbye. That's on-demand delivery, moving, staging, TV, mounting, and assembly. We also do haul-off junk, stuff like that. Yeah, this is the content creation portion of the brand. This is Buy to Buy Studios. We do creative consulting. We do remote content creation. We do post-production. So we either help you from scratch or we help you polish something that you've already created from A to B or Z. Not sure which one that is, but the whole spectrum, we help you out. Yeah, that's at Buy to Buy Studios. High quality, low stress, remote controlled. Jake, what are we talking about tonight?
All kinds of fun stuff. I'm glad. So I think our first topic of the evening is going to be on the show Special Forces,
Sure.
where it's a group of special forces operators take people of note, whether celebrities, retired athletes, or former uh, press secretaries, and put them through a 10-day uh, selection program. That's it's no matter what they did there, it's a really toned down version of what a selection process really is.
Sure.
And I'm glad that you sat down. I'm glad that you watched the show. Britt and I still have to catch up because we've been balls deep and below deck for a while. But um, but everything I've watched in that show, I've been like, oh man, I would love to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember why I started watching it. I remember us talking about it on a past episode. I remember, like we do with every conversation, you're like, oh, yeah, I'll check it out. And then 12 million things come up and you wind up
Mhm.
not doing it. So this is another one of those things. And then I happened to just catch it. And I'm like, I think it was along the lines of I wanted to watch a show that we could watch with the girls to where it's like, competition or whatever. And there might be language or whatever, but it's like, the context is pure. And so yeah, we started watching it, and Colleen was like, we watched like 2 or 3 episodes back to back to back, and I was like, we can totally change this if you want. And she was like, I'm kind of into it. So we just kept watching it, and randomly falling asleep during certain parts of it, but overall it was entertaining. um it just reminded me of, you know just competition, just doing anything to be like, oh, I think I can do that. It's one of those shows to where they put these people, like you said, of note in these situations, for the purpose of training them, or the selection process to see if they're worthy, like the one, what is it they call it, the 1% of the 1% in the military.
Hmm.
So is it just in
Yeah.
the Marines or is it all military?
So there's special forces throughout
Okay,
all the branches. So they've got guys that were two different types of British special forces are on the show. They have a Navy SEAL, and then there's a guy named Rudy Reyes on that show who was Marine Recon, on top of other private contracting stuff he did after he got out of the Marines. And his, you ever watched the show? You probably haven't watched the show, but it's Generation Kill.
no.
So Generation Kill is like my um, band of brothers, or you know what I mean? Because it's like the closest thing I've seen to how like Marines interact with each other for real life kind of thing. And it was all based off of this recon battalion's role during the initial invasion of Operation Iraqi Freedom. So a lot of the things they talked about were stuff that we were still talking about, like down the road in 2007 kind of
Yeah,
thing, and doing tactics were a little different because they weren't IED in the roads just yet. So there's but yeah, but a couple guys from the actual recon battalion were in the show because they helped make the show as realistic as possible. And Rudy Reyes was in the show.
got you.
Yeah, but anyway, so this show's great. And one of the funniest things that happened right away was there was that chef that quit, like I think episode 1 or 2.
Hmm.
And do you remember his sit down interview part? He's like, I think there's a lot of parallels between the
Oh,
kitchen world and the special forces. And
yep.
I was about on the floor. There's no way this dude just said this with a straight face.
Oh. So
Like,
the political figure, Scaramucci, is that his name?
the mooch, dude.
And
Yeah.
so like he's what, 56 years old at the time of
Hmm.
this. And so both he and the chef that you're talking about, they both they're bloviators. They gas themselves up so much that I don't know, like even when they fail, they're like not surprised that they fail. And I got those same vibes from the chef when he said that. I was like, okay, man.
Well, I was low key rooting for the mooch
Okay.
because like he was like, you know how you watch a competition series, something like this, and like there's an underdog that
Oh,
you're like,
don't do that. Well, that's the
no, like listen, like
no, no,
I
no,
know who he worked for, and I know, but I was like, I hope that he
no.
doesn't bitch out. I was just,
I, my my issue with him has zero to do with who he worked for. It has to do with how he carries himself. And someone
Mhm.
who is an underdog that you root for tends to have a sense of humility about them that makes them something worthy of being rooting for. He is the exact opposite, bro. He's talking trash the whole time. He's like, he's the kind of guy who will say his time in the White House prepared him for situations like this and then fails miserably. And you're
He
just
was in
like,
the White House for like a day.
he was there
Like,
11 days and he failed, like you said, he failed miserably. And
mhm.
yeah, but it all came down to like the common thread between a lot of the people is that they they talk a big game, and then when shit hits the fan, they punk out. Whether that's their children that they use, whether it's, you know, whatever that means. But like Scaramucci basically just said, it was his age. And that, like you said, it was what, 10 days long?
Mhm.
And they got to a certain point to where they proved enough to themselves and that was good enough. I'm like, yeah. If like the guys that you named who took the time to design the course and set it up for them, having those people leave like that, if I ever saw them in public, there's no way I'd speak to them. Like that's
Right.
ridiculous. So I think that
Plus,
happened to Piazza too. Like he and Scaramucci were tight.
well, it's, and I don't know how deep you are into it, man, but I was always a Piazza fan.
Oh
Like,
no, I rooted for like I liked seeing
you
him
know,
succeed. Yeah, no doubt.
but it was just like, oh, come on, dude. Come on.
Well,
You know,
so like you were talking about rooting for somebody. I was rooting for Piazza because of his interview, because he acknowledged, and he's the kind of athlete who recognizes he's past his peak and he
mhm,
goes out on top of sorts, right? So he goes out knowing that he could possibly still perform, but would decline. And he doesn't want to show that. And so he talked about how he struggled after retiring and, he had to reset and, figure out what his value was, what his worth was outside of the sport that was his entire life. And so I was like, dope. Like, I want to root for that. And then the way they
mhm.
went about some of the events, I was like,
Mhm.
rooting for him kind of went out the window. But,
Well, yeah, I mean, he gave that whole speech about, his dad was an Army Ranger and now it like, and I was just like, oh.
yeah, yeah. It's funny because there's levels to it. So like we agree that we would both love to get to do these competitions, right? We would like my wife when they did the van or I don't know if you've seen it, but the Jeep, they put a Jeep and they submerge it.
Yeah.
And it was like they had to hold their breath for 20 seconds. I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
That sounds dope.
I understand the physics of it. Like it's under a controlled circumstance. Like let's test it. And like the guy who did the example did it for 90 seconds. I was like, I'm gonna shoot for 60. Like I'm 20. What are you talking about? I'm gonna find the game within the game. But I'm definitely gonna do that. The wire walking, I didn't see anything. The fighting part, like I'll punch somebody if I have to, but I don't like to fight like that. So,
Yeah.
um, and several of the people shared that same sentiment. But like, can you imagine trying to box Dwight Howard? Like, no way, dog. Like,
He's he's not a small man.
he's not a small man. Yeah, it was something else. But it did remind me of why I never wanted to join the service because they suck out all of the individualism, all of the personality, all of the creativity. This is what we want you to do. You follow it to the letter, and that's it. And so, like, someone would do well, and then they would like celebrate or whatever. And they're like, I'm not your friend. Da, 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 da. And I'm just like, yo. And they would lose me every time because that like negative reinforcement, it does nothing for me. It does the opposite. And so to see someone as accomplished as Danny Amendola struggle with that, to see an Olympic skier to struggle with that, and I was like, okay, that makes me feel better because like just that blanket loyalty, that following order shit, I could not do it. Couldn't do it.
Well, I could. I mean, and did kind of.
Obviously.
This is- Well, my whole thing was like when it came to the Marines, it was always like I understand this is the task and this is why. Well, I mean, you didn't always understand why. Like this is the task and we're gonna go do it. Here's the objective. Here's the target or whatever, you know. But I was like, I won't let this break me,
Sure.
you
Sure.
know. And that was, so I mean, like we'd be in the middle of like doing long ass patrols, and I'm telling dick jokes over the radio, and like you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it's you find ways to.
But
I mean,
it's one dimensional. It's like the obvious thing. You're breaking the awkwardness of the moment of potential death, of a fucking firefight. Like, you know what I mean? Like all of those things are possibilities. And so to kind of numb yourself outside of that focus, you tell dick jokes. You whatever that means. However, like one of the contestants did a great job and then did like a somersault into the water afterwards and they
uh
penalized
huh.
for it. I was like, that's it. That's me. That's me expressing myself for completing the task, not being disrespectful, not doing anything else, but wanting to get that release. And that's how creativity works, right? You want to release, you want to get out there. You want it to be seen because it lives in your head and its value lies outside of you. And so it's like, yeah, they just suck all the fun out of it for me. So I would hammer out and then because what that does, the attrition of it, it would knock me down to the point where it wouldn't break me, but it would lessen who I am, my
Okay,
personality. It would numb it, and I don't want to numb my personality for the sake of, sir, yes, sir.
I get you. No, I understand.
That's all, man. Because all the tasks, I would pull a Tillman straight up. There's no
This is
valor in that because I didn't go to ASU and I didn't go to the NFL and I didn't leave a career in order to go serve. But like, I would pull a Tillman. I would not be, I would have to turn off I would have to take off the blinders and see what's really going on and be like, and be vocal about it. Probably not come back. So, but again, that doesn't mean that Tillman wasn't capable. That didn't mean he didn't care. I mean, he cared too much.
yep.
And he refused to shut off his feelings and and they said this thing they were like they take out your brain and they put it in the Marines and I'm like that sounds like a
Yes
problem
and
when you come home.
yes, yes and no.
Yeah, it's a spectrum. It's not hyperbolic. It's not this or that, but like
Mhm.
you see it. You see how many people struggle when they come home, they can't turn that shit off.
No, I definitely can. I've lived it.
Yeah.
It like it's there's definitely an adjustment period for sure. But speaking of this show and Dwight Howard, like, dude, the moment I saw him cast for this, I was like, no way, he's gonna have the hardest time, and he has been.
No, he definitely
Like,
yeah, he had a tough time. But yeah, he's oversized.
yeah, this man is a freak human being, huge. Do you see that they make him carry his boots and then he runs in like Jordans
Yep.
to wherever they're going?
Yep.
Because you know, when you're that tall and that heavy, you know, your arches collapse real easy,
Yep.
and like you have all kinds of foot and ankle, knee problems and shit like that. It's wild, but you know, just because of his, I will say, troublesome career in the NBA,
Yeah.
I was kind of excited to see what kind of like shit he would have to go through to like complete something, or if he would be a team player 100% for real or not. You know, I don't know. I've really enjoyed this show. I really enjoyed it just because I like seeing spoiled people get a crumb of the training that I went through. You know what I mean?
Was
And then,
spoiled in what way? Like, what way are they spoiled versus you signing up
well,
for it?
so I would I would say okay, maybe not spoiled, maybe accomplished so much in their given field that they now have privileges that I do not have access to.
But that's post their career. That's not before. Like the only reason why you know who they are is because of their careers.
Right.
So so
Well,
to to call them privileged or spoiled or whatever, it's like you're it's almost like their accomplishment is the detriment. But you don't have that because you aren't accomplished. Does that make
okay.
sense?
I guess maybe I misspoke.
I just don't want you to come off sound like a hater. That's all.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely not trying to come off sounding like a hater. I'm just seeing, I
That's
see,
what I heard, man. That's all I'm
okay,
saying.
so I see people who have worked themselves into a place where they can easily be more pampered. Which, so I mean, that's earned.
Yeah.
That's earned.
So if someone
But
cut your grass for you, you no longer have to cut your grass. Are you a spoiled person, or did you earn the right to have someone else cut your grass for you?
oh, it depends.
Ooh, there you go. Elaborate. Elaborate.
Well, it's like, are you just lazy,
Oh.
or or
Or is your time more valuable than money?
is or that?
So, so a person who's a couch potato could have that mindset. Would you say that they're smart because they understand the value of their time, or because they're on the couch?
Coming from a man who spends lots of time on his couch,
Oh man.
what's I don't know.
Oh, Flex Chef. Is he still
Yeah,
here?
yeah, Matt's still here.
Flex. So we started this episode talking the back end of our conversation about the term soldier and how that does not apply to Marines. I just got put on game. He told me that you are in the Navy, so they call you an officer, right?
Oh, sailor.
Sailor, not a soldier, and you call a Marine neither.
Yeah,
Just
Marine's a Marine.
got you. Okay, so I need for you to chime in and let me know the validity of that statement. How much of that is a joke and how seriously it's taken. Because
No joke.
I mean no disrespect. If I see anyone who has military garb on and I make a generic assumption and just say soldier out of respect. Thank you for your service, soldier, whatever. And you go, I'm a Marine. Sorry. And then I go about my day. Like,
Well, see, the thing is,
no ill
you
intent
just
in it.
you just said it, and this is branch dick measuring because we all do it.
I
You
just
just said it.
say it.
You just said it. You just said it. Soldier is generic.
Oof. I'm a sailor. The term soldier does not apply to me. Okay. Word.
You just said it. You just said it. The term soldier is generic.
But it's funny. It's funny because
Walmart brand.
it's because it's almost like
Dollar General.
it's almost like pronouns.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
No, well, what do you mean you guess? No.
I mean, no, I'm agreeing with you.
It is an identity statement.
Mhm.
So you are refusing to be called anything else but what you choose or what you chose, which was to become a Marine. Yeah, here we go.
What do you mean? All right, so Marines would be on our ship and try to drop us, and we'd laugh. So I never got to spend any time on a boat. I was too busy going from you know, desert to desert town doing Marine shit. Real see? Generic. See, he agrees. A soldier. You called it generic. Freaking great value military.
So does that matter? Like, so How does that work at the VA?
The VA acknowledges your service, your branch.
No, of course, but do you get preference? Do you get, is it like, is there VIP for Marines? Like, what is that? How does that, or you
No,
simply just don't call yourself
no,
this?
man. The VA likes to stick their fucking unlubed dick in your ass, no matter what branch you were in, man.
No, I want to make sure that it's just the ego. I want to make sure it's just that thing because I get it. I get it. I completely get it. It's just hilarious. I'm sorry, it's also hilarious.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just a matter. It's just a matter of pride thing, and
I
you
think
know,
it'd be hilarious to be in an airport terminal, to not know you, to see you for whatever reason, something that says you're a Marine, and then for someone to come up and to try to give you, uh, try to show gratitude, and you go, "Hey, fuck you, man! I'm a Marine."
What's I have
I
so
would die, dude. That'd be hilarious.
we've talked about this a little bit, but there's a reason why I don't play poker.
Oof. Okay.
It's because I can't. I have a cartoon face. My emotions are right there automatically,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't even have to say anything. Like, there's immediate like, oh, I said something incorrect. Because my face would,
Gotcha.
right away, and I couldn't because it'd be an involuntary reaction, and like, let's see, not all Marines or Army for that matter were jerks, but we had a mutual antagonizing respect for one another. Correct.
So it's pettiness.
And I stole shit from the Army all the time.
Okay. Are you past the statute of limitations on this?
Fuck yeah, I am. Like, so there was the big saying always was there's no thieves in the Marine Corps.
Oh, Jesus.
Everyone else is just trying to get their stuff back. Okay. Also, the other saying was gear adrift is a gift. That means if you leave something unlocked, out in the open, unsecured, unwatched, that's free. That was meant for you. So, I mean, we had many a steak night off the United States Army budget's dime. Got some gear. We were in Al Assad Air Base, okay, and so we used to. So whenever we'd park somewhere, we'd always, if we were on a base, you'd always leave one person there to make sure no one came and fucked with your truck or any of your stuff.
Mm.
Gear guard. You always left a gear guard, and then someone would come back and you rotate and they go do whatever they need to do. The Army didn't do that. So we'd be out walking and we'd be like, oh crap, we have to get to the other side of this airbase to go to this whatever store to get some pants or whatever. So we'd just hop in one of their trucks and go, we'd just mobbing. Like, we bring it back, but if you,
You put gas in it?
fuck no.
Damn. The thievery.
It was tactically acquired a lot of gear and things.
Sounds like Christopher Columbusing.
Kinda.
This is ours. It was here. This is ours. We found it.
Mine. I just remember plenty of fights, clubs, and bars overseas where sailors and Marines would get into brawls where we'd tear it up and then turn and jump on whoever got in between. Yeah, you don't get in between the siblings fighting. You just you let the you let the siblings handle it. Stay out of the way, and then tell them you owe us money for what you broke.
That's crazy, man. Crazy, crazy.
No, man, but it was always one of those. It was always a mutual respect kind of thing. But it was always like, so if you don't know how it's broken down, there's the Department of the Army, the Department of the Navy, and the Department of the Air Force. The Marine Corps falls under the Department of the Navy. So we don't have our own budget. We get a portion of the Navy's budget. So a lot of times we were not as well equipped as we probably could have been. That's always how it's been. And that's why Marines are so like adaptable to things because it's just part of our culture, part of the Marine Corps culture. Is we don't have this. Well, how can we make this work? The first ever artillery guns that the Marine Corps ever got was from an Army unit had retreated from their position and left their arty guns and ammo, and the Marines scratched out U.S. Army and scratched USMC over Army, and they're like, "Oh, we found these." And like those are in the one of them's in the museum in San Diego on the recruit depot, kind of thing. So that's how the Marine Corps has always been. It's like we don't have this gear. Well, I found it. Where'd you find it? Oh, don't worry about it. We got it now. Like it's just part of the Marine Corps culture.
So you're like the little brother who gets the hand-me-downs.
Yeah, but we're also the meanest sons of bitches out there.
Yeah, that's the little brother, man, for sure. For sure, you always got to prove your point. Always got to prove something.
Gotta go.
So yeah, so that sounds like for you to say that there are 3 branches and then that you reside under the branch of the Navy. That you use the keyword under. You said that. I didn't say that. But
go right ahead.
but yeah, if you're borrowing from the Navy's budget, I think that says something. I think that's trickle down economics.
Well, see, and that is what it is. That's why.
Oh,
So really, how it was always supposed to work. Really, how it was always supposed to work was,
oh man,
the Marines were like the land unit of the Navy. So like the Navy would pull up, and then the Marines would get off the boat and go fuck shit up or do whatever they have to do.
Yeah.
So that's obviously evolved over time. Like the Marines have their own fighter pilots now, and
so the Navy
they function
like we drove.
Yeah.
Oh man!
Now go get us our gas money.
Right. No doubt. That's great.
Yeah, I know, but I never got to. I never had the opportunity to spend time on ship. So I mean, I didn't get the full immersive.
Right. So you're the
experience.
So the Marines are the little brother, have little brother syndrome, and the Navy is the chauffeur.
Yeah, the older brother that got his license.
Yeah, I got to take his little brother to the fucking ball. Get in.
I'll take it. No, I'll take it. That's good.
So, that's great. No, again, I just want to make sure that we get to where we both come to a consensus, because we're both saying the same thing. We just, like you said, there's ego, there's honor, there's other things attached to that I don't have. So I just it's all funny looking from the outside.
Well, see, that's another reason why I'm not like, you're not being malicious. If you were being malicious, it'd be a whole nother conversation.
Oh no,
no, but you know what I mean. Like I'm enjoying this. This is
baseline soldier respect, straight up. So that's why full circle is incorrectly approaching someone or just saying to them in the generic form of soldier, there is a baseline of respect that is high. So no matter how, so with pronouns, if someone mispronounces or says the pronoun you don't adhere to or you don't recognize, the simple thing is to again go, Marine's a Marine. And for me to hear that and to chuckle inside, but to also want to be respectful and accommodating, my apologies, Marine. Thank you for your service.
Thanks, man.
And it would keep it moving. So that way the gratitude is still extended with the hiccup involved. Because if it's just a pronoun, my bad, they, them. Retract the statement, keep it moving. So it's good to know. I don't know how the divisions work with the spectrum. I'll leave all that alone. That's somebody else knows what that means. So speaking
all
of,
I know is if Matt was around, I'd still snuggle with him. That's my brother.
All right. So the other thing that I wrote down to talk about was this episode that I saw from New Amsterdam. which is a medical drama formerly on NBC. I think it's over now, but I'm rewatching it from Netflix, I believe. And so the last episode that I watched had to do with a mass shooting, and it involved the disconnect between a father and a son. And um, long story short, the son was involved in the mass shooting, was a victim, and was with someone who got shot and died. And they used their body as a shield, pretended to be dead, so that way the shooter didn't kill them as well. The father wound up getting a call, rushing to the scene, picked up the son, took him home. After the fact, the dad, that's the word I kept missing, radicalized. The dad became radicalized and turned into conspiracy theory on TikTok. And during the conversation with the therapist, showed the emotion that you would expect from a father-son relationship, paused, and then reiterated that he had wished that they hadn't brainwashed his son to say the details that he does. And so, like, there's a complete, all the friction in the episode has to do with the fact that the dad picked his son up from in bloody clothes from the scene of this crime, and then got indoctrinated, whatever the word is, into this radicalized state to where he doesn't believe his own son.
So it's like he was saying, like, he's believing that the mass shooting didn't happen, kind of thing.
That the details that he made it, essentially the way that people talk about the Earth being flat or the moon landing not happen, right? They go through all great lengths to pick and choose these little things that they can then magnify, and then to try and discredit the whole thing. And so part of the episode, the kid's like, the son is like, you literally picked me up. I used my friend's dead body as a shield to even get away. And so you're discrediting what I'm saying. And so then it always boils over into, dysfunction. And so at the end of the episode, the conclusion from the therapist was that the dad's condition was permanent, that radicalization does not change, and that in order for the son to have a relationship with his father, he was the one who had to change. His father was who he was going to be for the rest of his life, allegedly. And so the son, in order to have a relationship, at the end of the episode, started talking about old times, set up a time to do something that they did when things were simple, and then the episode ends. So it's about, pushing a reset button, but still, at the end of the day, the answer is accommodating the person who now has what they consider a mental disorder. And so it struck me because we had a falling out on this show, and it stems from that same circumstance. So I didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know that it was permanent. I thought that this would just be a phase like a lot of trauma is. But
so I'm trying to have a better understanding.
Yep.
Because I haven't watched the episode.
Yes.
So was part of this father's radicalization, was that like part of what he had to do to deal with the trauma of him picking up his his bloody son from the school where he almost died, kind of thing? Is that where
it was
the trauma triggered him into this whole spin?
Well, no, because they had a good relationship up until that point, and that this became the driving force that split them apart, because it was all what he was reading online.
Okay.
So it was everything from the outside, and his son was literally giving a firsthand account, and he believed the outside account because of the magnification, because of the way influencing works on social media.
Okay. I'm just trying to...
The same way that my mother is a Trump supporter. Yeah. Yeah. So me watching this, what I took in was, in order for me to have a relationship with my mom, she's not changing. I have to adapt to how she has now chosen to behave. So, yeah, bro, I'm in it. It's not going anywhere. Still got love for my mom, but I can't talk to her the same way I used to. I can't.
Right.
And when I do, it turns into the same thing every time. So, in order for me to av- avoid that from happening, I have to remove myself from that circumstance. And that's the exact same thing that happened with our old co-host. So, like,
Yeah, it's like I don't talk politics with my brothers.
yeah, keep it simple.
No, I love them, and I don't feel like screaming all the time.
It's not even about screaming, dude. It's just about
I know,
it's about finding the common denominator and
right?
agreeing that that number, whatever it is the same, and not being able to come to that point when you agree or when you have led a certain lifestyle up to that point that is to the contrary. To have to not know my mom's side of the family because she chose my black father over the family at 17 years old. For that to be the baseline of the relationship with my mother and her side of the family, and then for it to be where it is now, I have very little issue with my family and that side of my family, but the amount of contact I have with my mom has radically changed. Radically changed. And it's not that I don't care for her, and it's not that she cares for me less. It's just that she has chosen to believe in this system of thinking that there's enough evidence now that shows how fraudulent all of that is. And so for that to be the baseline of how our conversations go, that was a choice. So the parallel I wrote down in this note was about having a running partner, a workout partner, someone who you do something in a physical nature that you've done for an extended period of time, and then they choose to like take up smoking, or they do something that takes away from what you guys both do. And so now when you do that thing together, you have to let off the gas in order for the time to be as enjoyable for the both of you because of the hindrance they've signed up for. And so breaking it down to something that simple, like that would annoy the shit. I would find a new running partner. Sorry, mom, I can't go running with you anymore. Like, it's that simple to me because the way the world has changed. So yeah, this episode, it just made me think about that and our I say our circumstance because of the tragedy that happened recently and the way that you can't even connect with someone who you want to because of what happened as a result of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
And that's what I'm saying. So based off of that episode, according to what the end theme was, you've got to change in order to accommodate that thing that makes you not even want to reach out.
yeah, but I don't even necessarily want to do that. It's I'm
Now
very
you don't?
I'm very tolerant to a lot of people's bullshit, individual bullshit,
Right.
because I understand we all have it. But sometimes there are lines that shouldn't be crossed at all. And even though what was said had nothing to do with me,
Yeah.
it was the fact that it was taking someone else's tragedy and making it selfish. Someone that was so close to them, and then instead of talking about how this tragedy is affecting their partnership and their partner,
Mm-hmm.
but woe is me because I can't make this tragedy happen to myself anymore.
It's the
And this,
it's the combo. It's the apathy followed by the self-centering.
yes,
Yeah.
it was it blew my mind.
And
And
I've read since that conversation that is one of the key markers in a narcissist.
yeah, and that it that hurt my heart. And that hurt.
And that was a choice.
Yeah.
That wasn't, you know, you are a confidant.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you're always someone that this person, myself, anyone else could reach out to and get shit from you, but do it in a tough love type of way.
And
right?
you know you could tell me, your shit, and I'm taking it with me to the grave.
But if I said that shit to you, you would have the same reaction to me.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
No, and the only reason why I even told you this conversation
Yeah.
was because it takes a lot for me to be like gobsmacked.
Taken aback at like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It takes, because I can usually sit back and detach and try and understand where someone's coming from. Because that'll help me relate to the situation better.
Mm-hmm.
If I can try and see it from your shoes, I can be a better friend for you.
Yep.
What you need in that moment. But this was one of those things that was just like,
So how do you get through that though? What's the next step? You just let it be? You let it lie?
I have to.
Man.
I don't know. I don't know how to. No matter what, for the rest of my life, that will be in my head. No matter what conversation comes up down the road, no matter what ends up happening, that conversation will be on my mind forever.
Yeah.
Because why are you doing this for me? What is your selfish motive for doing something for me? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's going to be there, because that's all that was. That's all that what that led to was.
And
How can
I understand that feeling. The emotion, the emotional response to center yourself in that circumstance, knowing the person's history, all of the X factors, right? You can understand that thought crossing their mind. Now, that thought crossing their mind, them breaking it down and saying, that's a fucking silly, selfish thought. Do not execute. Control, Alt, delete.
Mm-hmm.
Problem here. To not have that, but for it to come in to register and then want to convey that to somebody. Like, because you can use it for your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's the thought.
This option was taken from me.
But the opportunity cost in that statement is, it's wild, bro. It's wild. I feel like there has to be more people that have dealt with that. I'll look for that online. I'll
Yeah.
take a deep dive, but like, to have someone to lose someone you know or that's close to you based off of proximity, and then for you to feel, yeah, like you had something taken from you. That opportunity taken from you. That's wild, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we've known each other long enough now to where how much other shit have I just shrugged off?
Sure.
Because we've known each other for over 3 years now.
Yeah.
And you've watched it and you just go,
Yeah. Well, I was always the person to receive it now, to receive it mid-recording.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I could only ever react one way. And even that is controlling. Even that is dictating how someone can respond to you. And I recognize that. And so that's why one of the best moments from this show was a pause followed by, I heard you, and that was it. And it was a hilarious moment that I still reflect upon fondly, even though I have no relationship with this person anymore. Like, I still, when I see that clip, it makes me want to share it because it's a funny moment. It's a good moment. I remember being in that spot. Like I remember the context around trying to make things work, you know, and us just shooting the shit and making moments like that all the time, like on with a regular occurrence. And so how you say that moment is going to live with you, you can't not think about that. I can't not think about that moment in the opposite light, in a positive light, because of the truth in it, because of the truth in being a spectator to someone who you care for.
And that's not taking away the good that has come out
Yeah,
from.
yeah,
It's just I don't know how to open myself up to maybe even something worse down the road.
yeah.
And that sucks. But it's, you know, I my life is no longer just the Jake show. It hasn't been for quite some
For quite some time.
time. And the Jake show has a pretty vast supporting cast at this point. And I can't have somebody who thinks like that around my children or have me bring that home to why is dad in a bad mood. Because I
Yep.
get in bad moods as it is. I've been in a bad mood all day today. Like you know what I mean? Like I'll be real. Like I've been in a bad mood all day
Yep.
today. And so I mean, like I said, everyone has their own shit, right? Like I mean, I have my own shit. If I'm gonna carry somebody else's shit, that weighs on me in my home too.
Yep.
And yeah, it is what it is. And I know that, and you know, like I've learned that a lot when it comes to that's what it's like with my friend group. Like the guys and I are all supposed to go camping this weekend. Depending on this weather, I don't know if I'm going or not. But you know, a lot of the reason why we're all so distant from each other now is because our shit piles are all big. You know, wives, kids, careers, lives, and it's not because of we got distant on purpose. It was sometimes we just can't carry other people's shit into our homes. We have, you know, the load is heavy.
Well, my dad was um, an RN. He was an emergency room nurse for a while to start off his nursing career, and he had to leave the emergency room because he said the death toll was too heavy. He said that seeing people at their worst moments every day for 10, 14 hours a day is like, he said the toll that it took on him, he could not bring it home. He couldn't come home and want to play with his kids and, you know, and do the things that the plate, you know, when you've got a full plate. And I remember that conversation. I remember because he's back in the medical field and he's been doing it for a very long time. But just that niche of trauma, he said he could not deal with it because of how heavy it all is. So another thing with this show with New Amsterdam, they all this was going on through COVID, and so they dealt with that, and they, you know, but they actually wore masks the whole time for every episode or for episodes for a long time after that. When other shows made it a point to like put a disclaimer up, oh, this is the fantasy world where we're past mask wearing or whatever, like, you know, that disingenuous bullshit that we do for entertainment. And so that was another thing that made me want to watch the show even more, was because of the way that they approached it. But yeah, man. Is that babies?
One second, I can hear you.
Unhappy baby.
What's wrong? Mom took Christopher to bed. Daddy's doing the show. You want to say hi to Ryan? No.
I knew it was coming.
But anyway,
Hi, Ruth.
oh, she can't hear you because it's all through the headphones.
Yeah.
So this New Amsterdam show, it deals with life
Yeah,
as
man.
it's happening.
It does a good job, and there's other shows that we've watched before that are, I don't know. After watching it, I feel like they were a little hokey when it comes to like, they were just generic. They were like, it was very obvious when they wanted to talk about race. They did this thing that was like, encompassed the whole episode. If they wanted to talk about LGBTQ, they did this, and so these other shows, they do it, and it's like, it's annoying. And so watching this show, they talk about all these issues, but they incorporate it into something that feels real. It doesn't feel like it's such a.
I love you. Hey, I'll be upstairs in bed, okay?
Aww.
Live.
Yeah. Domestication. What time is it?
It is almost 9, sir. We've been rolling for almost an hour, buddy.
Yeah, we've been chugging along. Absolutely. You want to talk about these psychedelics, or you want to put that on the burner?
We can get into it a little bit if you want to.
Okay. I don't really. I didn't put down a lot of links, a lot of information about it. I just know that we have touched on it in the past, and I just happened to watch the new season of Last Week Tonight, John Oliver, and the show I'm talking about, New Amsterdam. Yes, it is on Netflix. The show we talked about earlier, Special Forces, that is a Fox show, and it is streaming on Hulu. And Last Week Tonight with John Oliver airs on HBO Max, if anybody cares. But yeah, so their first episode, they're talking about psychedelic assisted therapy, and specifically they talk about, the PTSD with the military and all the different forms, and the spectrum of harm versus help that people see when it comes to psychedelics. And they talk about, how for thousands of years they've been used, and it's just like, I think in 1935 was the first time that a white guy from the U.S. traveled to this remote area where this woman was the person to go to. And so they had refused to see anybody for the sake of keeping it within. It's like Wakanda, bro. It's hilarious. And so they allow this guy to come in, he takes it back, and then he winds up in like People magazine or Time magazine. And then it becomes this huge wave, and then people start flooding to this village to go see this lady, and they wound up burning her house down. The villagers did, because of them bringing all these white people to this community. And so, but yeah, that started the whole craze in terms of psychedelics. And but the medicinal use of it, we're really just scraping the surface with it. And so, but yeah, they talked about PTSD and how there was a gentleman who was in the military, and he used it, and they interviewed him like 20, 35 years later, and he was still doing very well. And it was a gentleman who was an alcoholic. And so they used it as to rid him of his dependence on alcohol. And he says that he no longer craves it. And that lasted for 30 some odd years. And it was
awesome.
And it was psychedelics. It was, him taking that on. But, they made it clear to also put out there that if you have a family history with, psychosis and other things that could trigger a negative response when it comes to psychedelics, that is definitely on the table as well. So, but yeah, microdosing, whether it's cannabis, whether it's psychedelics, whatever it is, the doing things outside of a pill, there's a lot to take from it. So, I know that you had mentioned it But I didn't know if is that something that you could actually pursue with your history?
Oh, listen. I would do it just to do it. I think psychedelics are great. Um, I've heard multiple people in there's a sober group chat I'm a part in, and there are multiple people that talk about microdosing and how it's helped them like unfuck their lives is the nicest way to put
Yeah.
that. And um, I have heard some decent things about ibogaine treatments because basically, like ibogaine it's another psychedelic, but basically what it does is it resets your receptors to where your receptors aren't craving whatever you crave, kind of thing anymore.
Yeah.
And I've heard great things about people that do ayahuasca the right way. Um, yeah, no, I have nothing against um, people looking for a more natural way. I, I have nothing. I think people should approach life with solving everything they can in the most natural way they can first.
So I think that psychedelics would be something we could add to the list with bingo that we could do together.
Yeah. Yes.
Uh, the combo of the two, I don't think that would
Nah,
be a good mix. We'd be a little too hyped for too into the game, but yeah, having a controlled trip
I'd be down
game.
anytime.
You heard it here first, people.
I've
Uh,
just got like I've just got like 98 kids. We need to find a babysitter that
yeah, no
takes on
doubt.
a
We have to figure it
small army.
planning that has to go down. But what did we talk about on our thread? What was it? The People magazine article that I posted in my story.
Crap.
The soft swinging.
Yeah. What is that?
That's not it's not on the list of stuff that we're gonna do together, bro.
No, definitely not, man.
Nah, nah. If you guys don't know,
Oh, that'd be so weird. Just look, good job, bud.
so what is it? Are you just like do you just like lock eye? Are you making eye contact the whole time? Like how's that work?
Proud of your stroke game, champ.
Are you getting waters for each other? Like how does this? Like, how does that work? I'm no shame, no kink shaming. I just shared an article on my story this past weekend that had to do with it was after the NBA All-Star weekend and someone in the Real Housewives sphere, I guess, wound up in a domestic abuse situation. And it occurred on the tail end of a soft swinging event, which I learned was where couples are in the same room together, but they don't exchange partners, which is, I thought, the point of swinging. And so soft is just like you're dipping your toe in it. But yeah, I sent the article to Jake and I was like, hey, man, let's make sure this doesn't go on the list with bingo. And we shared that. So,
I was thinking about it, and I guess I've technically done that.
yes, there it is.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Back in high school.
Eiffel Tower, my God.
Oh no! It was me and my girlfriend at the time, and then my boy. Shout out to DeAndre Debonair Bobo and his girlfriend at the time, and we were like, "This is happening right now," and we just handled our business, but we were in the same room.
I
Yeah,
mean, technically, if it's spring break and you're sharing room with guys and you're all hooking up, is that not the same thing?
I guess it is. It's like a soft orgy.
Because, oh man, that's funny. That is funny. The Eiffel, what is that?
Hey, and
What's yeah.
DeAndre is a soldier.
Ooh,
He joined the army after high school.
there you go. the distinction, the pronoun is there.
That's what double bed's a superator for.
Ooh. Man, you know what? I guess I can share this story now. Uh-huh. No, never mind. Never mind. Just kidding. We're good. I don't need to share that story right now.
The Eiffel Tower is two dudes on one chick, and then they high five at the top to make
Oof.
the Eiffel Tower.
So my buddy was a what's it called when you like to have sex in public places or record it? What's that called? There's a word.
Exhibitionist.
Exhibitionist. Very good. Thank you, sir. And so we were all chilling at his house one night. He's like, "Yo, I've got this girl coming over later," and I was like, "All right, cool." And we all started about making plans about leaving, and he goes, "Nah, y'all can chill." And he was like, "In fact, Harvey, don't you have your camera?" And I was like, "Sure do." And so, because we were working on something else, and so I hooked my camera up, and we were in the other room streaming them hooking up. And this is back in this is all analog. This is 1990. This is like maybe 99, 2000. Yeah.
A voyeur is where you like to watch.
Yes. So, it was as far as I know, consent was given because they film themselves on a regular occasion. So, looking back on it now, creep factor is heavy. But it wasn't just my guy. It was my guy and my other friend, and 2 for 1. So high five to them. So the Eiffel Tower. I didn't know that was the term.
Well, so then if you hold your hands up, it's a wobbly H.
Wobbly H. Okay.
All within the Devil's Three-Way. 2 dudes, 1 chick. Hey man, as long as your balls don't touch.
Red, white, and yellow wires. Yes. That was it. That was it. Oh man. The fuckboy days.
Man.
And that gentleman was in the Air Force.
He was an airman.
Airman.
There you go. We got them all today.
He was an airman, showing that he was about that semen. Sorry, I couldn't help it. It popped in my head. I figured I should. Sorry.
That's good.
Apologies. Anyway,
that's good.
Before I say something that's going to get us canceled, how about you go ahead and send us off, sir?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the Sober Swole podcast. Once again, I am Jake Howard.
And I go by Swirl. Flex Chef. Thank you, as always, for tuning in.
Chocolate and vanilla swirl.
Warhorse, sign us off, sir.
Hey, it's Warhorse. Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay? When Warhorse picks his pre-workout, he wants it to slay. If you want second place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition.